Hey, what's up, you guys? It's your boy Simply Food by TY, and I just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who has just recently joined my channel, within the last few months. If you guys were here from the reaction videos, or if you have been a part of this channel since the mukbangs, as you guys know, this channel has taken on many different directions. And I am very appreciative of all of you guys who have stuck it out with me, especially while we've taken on these new cooking adventures. We have a lot of stuff coming up in the new year that I'm really excited to share with you guys. You'll be getting backstage access to my shows. There's going to be some travel vlogs. We're going to have a few different things going on out in LA. So I have some collabs coming up. I'm in the process of working on a cookbook, so hopefully that'll be dropping, sometime 2021, because I want it to be just right for you guys. So I am very appreciative of all of the support that you guys have shown me over this past year. It has been one hell of a year, and I look forward to all of the new ventures that we're going to take together. I wish you guys the happiest of holidays. A Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever it is that you celebrate. I hope you guys have a fantastic time. Go into the new year wanting to explore new opportunities. Go into the new year wanting to be a better you. Forget whatever happened in the past and just move forward. But you know what we need to do right now? We need to start cooking, honey. So let's go into the kitchen.
Do I have your attention? 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 Do I have your attention?
Is you taking notes?
Hey, what's up, you guys, and welcome back to Simply Food by TY. So the first thing we're going to focus on is prepping our broccoli. So of course you want to make sure that your broccoli is nice and cleaned, of course. Now, these next steps that I'm going to be taking in prepping this will really be just a matter of preference and how you like your soup. Some people like to see the broccoli, they like to see the nice florets whole, and some people actually want it to be almost emulsified and it's kind of completely minced down. Now that's completely up to you, but either way you want to make sure that you are removing the stems like I'm doing. You don't want that hard part inside of your soup, so you'll just discard that or put it in the compost. Now, I like to actually see the florets in mine, so I don't break mine down too entirely small. There's some pieces where I want smaller pieces, and then I'll just leave the florets whole. But like I said, if you are one where you want it to be really fine pieces of broccoli in the soup, honestly, just remove the stem and get yourself a butcher knife and just mince it down that way. Or if you have a food processor, you can also do it that way. Now, I also wanted to mention this now before we get into it later on, just to give you a heads up. I'm going to be using the Better Than Bouillon. I'm going to be using the chicken flavor. By all means, you guys, if you want, you can absolutely use vegetable broth in this recipe. You do not have to use chicken broth. That's just a matter of how I like my soup. I like my soup really packed with a lot of flavor, and to me, the chicken broth just adds something to it. But, if you want to keep it more on the vegetarian side and not have any type of chicken taste or anything like that, by all means, you can definitely use vegetable broth. I would suggest, if you're going to do that, to just make sure that you are tasting the stock as you are making it to see if you're going to need some additional salt. Sometimes vegetable broths don't have as much sodium as the chicken broth, so of course that would require a little bit of extra seasoning. Now, I am going to be making a pretty large soup here, you guys, so I'm actually going to break down both of these whole heads of broccoli, and it's going to go in the recipe. Now, of course, you can break down both, and then when it comes down time to adding the broccoli, add it in little by little, and that way you can gauge on how much you really want. Sometimes you might want a lot of broccoli, sometimes you might not. It's completely up to you. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just sit all of this to the side, and now we're going to work on our vegetables. So what I have here is a sweet onion. I'm only going to use about a half of this. as I say all the time, you guys, I'm not keen on a lot of onions. So I break these down into a nice size mince, and then I'm going to sit that to the side. If you like a lot of onions, by all means, feel free to add yourself some more, but a half a cup to me is more than enough. So you're gonna get your Dutch oven pan and add about 4 tablespoons. Y'all know I use Kerrygold butter. And then you're gonna saute down your onions. Once your onions have started to sweat down, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna add in 4 tablespoons, you guys, 4 tablespoons of flour. You guys know what we're doing. We are creating that roux. So of course you wanna make sure that you have your temperature on about a low medium temperature. You don't want it to be up too high, and just continuously mix it. Now the good thing about having the onions in it, it is going to have a lot of moisture in it, so you don't really have to worry about it burning, but you want to make sure that you are cooking off all of that raw flavor. Y'all know how this goes. We talk about that all of the time. So what we're going to do next is we're going to be adding in our better than bouillon. So like I said, I'm adding in 6 tablespoons of this, and I'm just mixing it in with the onions and the flour and the butter. You don't necessarily have to do it this way, but I just do it this way because it kind of breaks it down a bit, so that when I do add the water to it, it just dissolves much, much faster. You know what I mean? So what I'm doing right now is I'm adding in water little by little. This is one of the biggest steps, you guys. Take your time when you are trying to get your roux together. If you add in all of your water at once, you'll end up with lumps, and that's what you don't want. So just do it little by little, and as you can see, it turns really, really thick. Once you see that you've gotten it to a decent consistency and you don't see a lot of clumps, that's when you can add in the rest of the water. Now in this particular recipe, you guys, I'm going to be using almost about 8 cups of water, almost 10. Once again, you can definitely gauge that based upon how many people you're trying to feed. So I'm adding in a 10.5 ounce can of cream of celery. That's optional. I just like it because it adds an extra layer of creaminess. That's just my preference. I'm adding in a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. And then I'm also adding in, of course, some black pepper. And then I also like to add in the polio chicken seasoning. Now, I will say, if you guys decide to add that in it, just be aware that it's really going to take on a really pungent chicken flavor. That's just the way I like mine. If you guys are okay with just with the chicken broth, taste that broth, you guys, before you add in that polio chicken seasoning. And if you don't think you need it, honey, don't add it. I like to add it because it's just me, you know what I mean? So once I've given it a taste, I added in a nice little pinch of kosher salt. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add in our heavy cream. Now, this truly really will depend, once again, on how much you're making. For this particular recipe, I used almost about 1.5 cups of the heavy whipping cream. I'm adding in our shredded carrots, and then of course I'm also going to add in our broccoli. Now as far as the carrots, I'm adding in about 1.5 cups of that. If you're not keen on carrots, you can add as little as you want or none at all. That's completely up to you. Now, because I'm making a large pot, as I said once before, I actually ended up using all of my broccoli, but you don't have to. Now, the cheese that I'm going to be using, you guys, is actually Tillamook's mild cheddar. So what I'm using are the 8-ounce bags, and I'm going to use 2 of those. So you'll need 2 full 8-ounce bags of the Tillamook mild cheddar. Now, I understand that everyone doesn't have access to these type of things, so use whatever type of cheddar that you like. If it's a good cheddar, that's the one you want to use. I'm also adding in about 1/2 cup of some provolone as well. That's just a preference for me. I don't know why. That's just kind of what I like, so that's what I added. But what I was saying is for this, you guys, you can add whatever type of cheese you want. That's the best thing about broccoli and cheddar. Whatever your favorite cheeses are, that's what you can add. You want to bring this up to a simmer, and then you want to keep an eye on it for the consistency. If it's not as thick as you would like it, add yourself a little bit of a cornstarch slurry, which is just about a tablespoon of cornstarch and a splash of water, and that'll thicken it up. If you want it thicker, add yourself some more. I like mine a little bit more on the thinner side, not too thick. You want to bring it up to a simmer, let it go for maybe about an additional 5 or 10 minutes. And then honestly, your soup is done. The best thing about the soup, you guys, is that it's so extremely easy to make, and you can make it really, really, really fast. Now, once again, I like mine more on the soupier texture. If you want yours thicker, add yourself some more cornstarch. Do not add flour. You don't want lumps. The cornstarch breaks down really, really easy, and it's a fantastic thickening agent. So yeah, I really hope you guys love this recipe. Broccoli and cheddar soup is one of those type of things where you can get really, really creative and add stuff to it. You can add bacon to it. You can add goat cheese on the top of it. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to be serving mine in a lovely sourdough bread bowl. I got this from Panera Bread. You can probably find it at your local grocery store. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I wish you guys the merriest Christmas, happy holidays, and I hope you guys come back and see me again next week. Talk to you later. Bye, guys.
Simply Food by TY.